For the strength portion today, we have some Turkish get-ups, bent over rows, bicep curls, and reverse snow angels. So the first one, Turkish get-up. You're gonna have some sort of weight. If you have a kettlebell, or like a tea kettle with, you could fill it with sand, you could add water to it, something that's gonna make that heavier. Now what you're gonna wanna do is you wanna make sure that your wrist is straight. So, similar to a false grip, I let that handle hang in my hand. I'm going to keep that wrist stiff and make sure my wrist is straight. If you have a dumbbell, you're just gonna hold that dumbbell, make sure that wrist is also straight. Okay, so you could practice this without any weight first if you've never done it before, but the side you're holding the weight, same side knee is gonna be bent, arm is gonna be out to the side straight. You're gonna bring that weight over your shoulder and you're gonna keep your eye on the weight, okay? Don't look away. From this position, you're gonna roll onto your shoulder and then to your elbow. You're gonna push off the hand. Now, I'm still pushing up into that weight, keeping my eye on the weight. From here, I'm gonna lift my hips up and then I'm going to slide that leg back into a lunge position. And then from here, I'm going to stand up all the way. Okay, now to come down, I'm gonna do the opposite. I'm gonna go back into the lunge, hand down, kick through, sit on my hip, onto my elbow, shoulder, and all the way back down. All right, same thing on the other side. Knee up, weight up. I go shoulder, elbow, hand, lift up, kick through, lunge position, stand up, and back down, lunge, hand down, sit on the hip, elbow, shoulder, all the way back down. Some key parts in making this Turkish get-up a little bit easier. Most people mistake this for sitting straight up, upright, and then trying to lift their hips with their chest up. You want to be to the side, keep that in mind. So make sure you roll onto the shoulder, you're sideways, and then you come up sideways. You're going to be able to kick that leg easier, rather than if I were to come straight up, I'm not going to have anywhere to bring my knee back, and I can't get into the lunge. It's going to be really hard. So, but if I'm sideways, I can kick that leg through easily. All right, so keep that in mind when you're doing those Turkish get-ups. If you haven't done these much, it might be difficult. Start with light weight. You could do no weight. Just keep your eye straight up on that hand. You don't want your eyes to wander. What that's going to do, especially if you have light weight, is this is what tends to happen. This would not happen if this was a 40-pound weight. I'm not just going to wander my eyes, putz around, stand up. Okay, you always have to keep that heavy weight over the shoulder, otherwise you're not going to be able to get it up. So at a light weight, yes, that shoulder can wander, that weight could go anywhere and you're not going to be noticing it. But at a heavy weight, you really have to rely on that weight stacked over your shoulder. So keep practicing that like it's weight and keep your eye on the weight, right? The more you do it, the more you're going to kind of get a feel of where to plant everything, so you're not going to have to waste time searching. For the bent over rows, you just want to get in a position where your back is close to parallel to the ground. So you could have your hand on the couch, a table, but you want that back parallel to the ground, and that's going to get you that pull, right? If I'm upright here, I'm not going to get the same pull as I would if I were bent over. So make sure that whether you have your hands supported, you can have your knee on the coffee table, use it like a bench. You want to try to get as parallel to the ground as possible. And then from that position, you're going to pull that elbow straight back, keeping the elbow close to the body. Okay, you don't want the elbow flaring out, and you always want to keep the shoulders active, so shoulders stay back, chest stays out. Holding that tight, we're gonna pull straight back. All right, for the bicep curl, just make sure you're focused on using your bicep. You don't want that elbow to wander. So you're gonna lock that elbow into your hip so it stays stable, it doesn't move, and you're gonna pull that weight straight up. Make sure that that elbow doesn't come off the hip, right? You're gonna stabilize that and just use your bicep to get that weight up. And last we have our reverse snow angels. This one you're gonna be face down. You might want a towel on your forehead so you're not smashing your face into the ground. And what you're gonna do is, keeping the shoulder blades away from your ears, you're gonna pull the hands off the ground and you're just going to bring them up and down, keeping those arms straight. This is an accessory movement. It doesn't take much weight to make this difficult, so I suggest that you start with 0 weight. If your shoulders are really strong, you've done a lot of scapula accessory work in the past, and your shoulders are bulletproof, you can add some cans, soup cans, water bottles, something that's like a pound or two, and make it a little bit more difficult. But for 99% of the population, just using your arms should be good enough, right? So it's gonna look like this. And that's about the speed you're gonna wanna do that movement in. It's not about going fast, it's about keeping that motion controlled the whole time and making sure that your elbows are straight the whole time too. Welcome back everyone. We're gonna go over the EMOM today. The movements are push-ups, double unders, V-ups, and a forward fold with a shoulder opener. So for the negative push-ups, we're gonna focus on form. So you want that good plank position with the feet together, pushing your shoulders away from the ground, squeezing your shoulder blades away from your ears, and everything is tight in that plank position. My feet are together, I'm squeezing my knees, I'm squeezing my butt, my belly's working hard here. And from this active, tight position, I'm gonna start bending my elbows, and I'm gonna control myself down, taking about 3 seconds. And I'm just gonna try to get that chest to touch the ground, and then I could either worm myself up, or if you're pretty good at push-ups, you can work on that negative and then press back up. But the focus here is a slow descent, keeping this plank position tight. So at no point do you want your hips to sag, your knees to bend, your butt to come up. Right, so keep that tight plank position, squeeze everything together, shoulder blades away from the ears, so you're squeezing those lats as you bring yourself down slowly. Okay, so in that EMOM, depending on how difficult those are for you, you're gonna go for less reps. If that's easy for you, you're gonna go for higher reps. The second minute of the EMOM, you're gonna have some double unders. You're gonna try for anywhere between 20 and 50. 20 if they're difficult, 50 if you're really good at them, you could do them all unbroken. We're looking for about 30 seconds of work. So if you're just starting out with double unders, it takes you 5, you do 5 in about 30 seconds, that's totally fine. Just rest for the remaining 30 seconds. If you don't have a place to do double unders, then I recommend doing penguin jumps. Just like double unders, you want to stay light on the balls of your feet, and you're going to tap your thighs 2 times in one jump. So you're working on that timing of the double under. So it should look something like. Alright, and you're going to do 20 or so of those. Again, it should be about 30 seconds of work. In the third minute, you're gonna do some V-ups. For V-ups, you always want control. Try not to let go of the tension at the very bottom. So, on a V-up, you're going to start with the arms and feet extended. You're going to sit up and bring your feet up at the same time, making your body into a V. All right, now as you come down, you're gonna want control, and you don't wanna lose tension here. So don't come down and flop and let go of all that tension. There shouldn't be any space between the mat and the back here. So you wanna keep that tight, keep tension, and you're gonna come up, and then keep that tension control as you come down. So at no point should there be any space between your low back and the mat. So spine stays flat, keep that tension. Now if that's difficult, you could always bend your knees and be up into that position with the knees bent. If that's still difficult, you could always do some sit-ups. All right, still try to keep tension at the very bottom instead of coming down, relaxing, and then coming back up. So you have a full minute to get a few. So again, work on that technique, work on keeping tension rather than doing floppy V-ups or sit-ups and just trying to go for reps within that EMOM. For the last minute of the EMOM, you're just going to stretch. You're gonna bring your hands together. You're gonna straighten your arms, locking out those elbows, and you're gonna open your chest. From here, if you can, you're going to add a forward bend, and you're gonna pull the shoulders open as you bring the hands closer to the ground or closer to your head. And that's gonna intensify the stretch. This position, if you feel that this is good enough, you're just gonna hold that. You're gonna hold that for about 30 seconds.